Hello again. This movie is about mastering your academic English, so getting better at academic English whilst you're at UK university. And you could be in a class like this. So, how can you boost your skills? Well, let's have a look. Firstly, what is academic English? Why is it important here? Why isn't it just English? Why do we say academic English? Well, academic English is essential if you're going to be good and get high marks at UK universities, because academic English is a way of asking you to think critically and thoughtfully and carefully about what you say, what you're listening to, what you're reading, and what you're writing. And then it helps you get better marks. It enhances your academic performance, your performance whilst you're studying. And because you're going to do better in your degree, then you're probably going to get a better job as a result. So, academic English is a bit different to normal English you might speak if you're living in Britain and you're just traveling around the countryside, perhaps in your day to day life, you're going shopping, you're meeting friends, playing sport, whatever, because academic English is rather more formal than everyday English and objective in its tone, in the way people speak academic English. And we're trying to make our academic English as clear and concise as possible, but it is a little bit complicated. It has complex sentence structures. The way sentences are built are rather perhaps difficult to understand at the beginning. Academic English also requires us, it needs us to use evidence and references and citations to things that we count on when we're making up our writing or what we are saying. We can't just make a guess. We have to provide evidence upon which we have built our knowledge, our learning, and our understanding in a way that is clear and understandable to people. Because your professors at university want you to understand what you are learning about and to be able to talk and write about it in a sensible way. So you need to build your vocabulary. You need to know more and more words, how to use those words in sentences and paragraphs, and you need to expand, to grow your vocabulary. So here are some ways of doing that. You can read more academic journals, especially. Read more academic English when you're at university. So things like textbooks, journals, even newspapers can help, because especially the larger newspapers, the higher quality newspapers like the Times, the Telegraph, perhaps, those broadsheet newspapers have different, more complex language for you to experience. Perhaps you need to use a thesaurus to find synonyms and antonyms, words that are similar to or opposite compared to the word that you're thinking of. Keep a vocabulary notebook. Make a note of all the new things, new words, new phrases, new ideas that you're reading and hearing about. And practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect, after all. So, depending on what you're studying, you'll also come across some very subject specific words and vocabulary. And for example, if you're going to be a medical doctor, there's going to be a whole load of key terms and concepts and ideas that you need to understand to make you a successful student doctor and hopefully a graduate doctor in the future. And of course, in lectures, the professors and lecturers will be using those academic terms that are specialized to your specialist area. So you've got to get to grips with grammar and punctuation and understand the basics to start with, but then build upon that to help your academic writing and reading and speaking and listening. So review your fundamental grammar rules like subject-verb agreement, tenses, etc., and how to use punctuation properly. As a university senior lecturer, I see a lot of writing from students where they've totally forgotten about punctuation and syntax. Make sure you understand how to use a comma, a semicolon, and colons effectively, for example. Use grammar checkers when you're writing. You're going to be using things like Microsoft Word, perhaps. Make sure the grammar checker is switched on. So make sure that you also know how to write in an academic way. So, for example, you avoid contractions. You wouldn't put can't or won't or wouldn't. You'd write those contractions in full. So cannot, could not, would not. Avoid that informal language like jargon or slang terms. Use the very formal sentence structures, and we always use third person past tense unless you're being asked to write a personal account, something like a diary entry or a journal. So, make sure you're using what we call that academic voice. And make sure you know the difference between how to write an essay and a report. I've got another movie that's focusing on that, so I won't dwell on that too much here. But you'll be asked to write essays, you'll be asked to write reports. Maybe you'll be asked to write both in your course. Maybe your course favors one. For example, if you're doing science, medicine, engineering, probably you'll be asked to write more reports than essays. If you're doing history and languages, probably an essay will be the way to go. It depends what your professors want you to do. And when you're talking in class, in lectures to academic members of staff, your classmates, then do use appropriate academic language and try and practice. There might be language exchange groups at university or in the nearby neighborhood. Make sure you participate in the class. When people are talking, make sure you answer the professors, you talk with your classmates. You'll be asked, undoubtedly, to give presentations and practice speaking with native English speakers throughout your university life in the UK. So in that way, you can really push your language forwards by developing your pronunciation, for example. So listen to the English language being used. Listen to the radio, go onto YouTube, go onto the BBC website, for example, and listen to English language being used there. Use dictionaries to help you pronounce words correctly, and practice. At the start, speak slowly and clearly so people can understand what you're saying. And don't forget, there's lots of help out there in the university itself. It has lots of resources, language centres, academic advisors, online help, and also probably around where you live, there's going to be external support, things like English language schools, private tutors, online language communities, those sort of things. So thanks for watching. I hope that helps you with your academic English and how to use and improve your academic English whilst at UK University. If you like this channel, please subscribe and like this film. I'd very much appreciate it. Bye now.